everyone. My name is Eva McCord. I am a 2019 Summer Scholar alumna, and I am so excited to take you guys through this presentation. My role will be leading us through the first couple of introduction slides, which you are more than welcome to screenshot. We highly encourage everyone and as many people as possible to benefit from the information in this presentation. So feel free to share it on your social media, tag Joyce Ivy, make it a fun thing. And thank you so much to all the students and parents who are in attendance today, and a special welcome to all of our new Summer Scholar alumna. We are so excited to welcome you guys to our community, and this is just the beginning. So yeah, next slide. All right, so the first question on a lot of students' minds is, where do you start in your scholar search and your scholarship search? And I've broken it down into three main principles that you can look to throughout your first couple of months of searching to mitigate any feelings of being overwhelmed or feeling like there's so many scholarships out there. How do you start? So we can look to these three things. So the first thing I wrote down is Google is your friend. And I know a lot of people in the room are going to be rolling their eyes a little bit. I know how to Google things, Eva. I know how to look up scholarship in the search bar. That's not really what I mean. So what's really important is using specific search terms such as scholarships for low income students, how to find scholarships for merit or need-based needing students. And by using these specific terms, you will not only narrow your search and not get so many results coming at you that you don't know which ones to even start investigating, but you'll also be able to find which scholarships you're immediately eligible for. There is nothing worse than reading through a scholarship that sounds super enticing and super interesting, and then realizing you don't qualify for one reason or another. And through this process, you can cast a really wide net. And what I mean by that is, with Google, you'll find a lot of the major national scholarships first, ones that take fewer and fewer people, but are worth a lot of money, which can be kind of daunting for students. So what you want to do is start looking up scholarships for low-income students in the Midwest, such as Joyce Ivy, for summer scholars, and for college scholarships that are available for need-based students in the East Coast. Basically, what you want to do is use the internet to your advantage while also not overwhelming yourself, because that can be a huge detriment. And some databases that we have used are FastWeb and scholarship.com, and we highly encourage you to use those kind of more structured databases, but you can always just go into the void. And the second one is going to be particularly useful for our 2021 summer scholars, but for everyone in the room as well. Utilize your networks. So email your school counselors or your college advising office if your high school offers one. They will be the points of contact throughout this entire process, and they'll be the ones who know immediately about specific scholarships for your school, for your town, through news outlets that may be a part of your school's network. And you can even contact your town's newspaper, magazine, or community boards directly. Some of you may have a PTO or a PTA or a mother's club, as it's called at my school. And these can be really helpful resources to find smaller awards that are less competitive. So if you stand out in your high school, you believe you're a high achieving student who is really eager to get into the scholarship application process, I would really recommend starting there. And the nice thing about these scholarships is that they're local, and so there's fewer applicants, which makes them quote unquote easier to win, but still incredibly important, and you should celebrate. But they're often smaller awards, which makes them harder to stand alone. You want to be building up these, especially if scholarships are a main part of your ability to pay for college. And my final thing is probably the most important thing on this entire slide, is looking inwards. So narrow your search by thinking of your strengths, qualities, and talents. By being at this webinar alone, we all know that you are high achieving, very ambitious, incredible students who are going to make an impact on the world. But what's easier is to maybe start looking at, your interests. Like, for example, I love journalism. I've been a part of it since middle school. So I started looking at journalism scholarships specifically so that I knew that I would be applying my already hard work that I put in throughout high school into my scholarship application process. And I felt I could stand out more. And that's actually where two of my main scholarships are coming from, specifically journalism ones. And if you already have a few schools in mind, for example, and if there are any juniors in the room, I would highly recommend you start your college list in the spring, but no worries. Look into their institutional scholarships. For example, I applied to the University of Alabama. It was my second choice after the University of Chicago. And through that scholarship program at UA, I would get a full cost of attendance ride. I would get stipends and research opportunities and scholar networks. And I knew that I was into a school in October, so it's a win-win. So start looking at those kinds of scholarship opportunities and maximize the hard work you've already done. If you're a great artist, if you're a great musician, if you're a great writer, if you're a great scientist, so on and so forth, maximize on the skills you've honed over the years and apply them to specific scholarships. Next slide. All right, so with those initial things out of the way, I think these are important throughout your entire scholarship journey and even beyond. You can kind of extrapolate these tips however you wish. But my recommendation is start early, and that just means creating a timeline that works for your specific schedule. You're all very ambitious people. You may have a summer internship lined up. Kudos to you. You may be taking time with your family this summer. No matter what you're doing, if you're about to start the whole chaos that is senior year, think about September. You'll be starting your first senior year classes. A lot of you may be in AP honors, college prep, or just really, you're going to be doing your classes. And you're also going to be applying to college and now add on scholarship applications. It's a lot for one person. So I always recommend starting in midsummer. It's a great time to relax, but also brainstorm essay ideas. You can drink lemonade while you work on your scholarship applications, do them outside, have fun with it. It's better to plan ahead and make sure that you are minimizing your future stress. And that leads me into my next point. Have a plan B, C, all the way through Z. And I know if there are any parents in the room, they may be thinking, oh my gosh, what is she saying? She's going to stress out my kid. That's not what I mean. But what I think it's really important to recognize throughout this process is to not have one single option that you're banking on. And I think, especially this previous year, we've seen a lot of plans fall through. Things have changed really rapidly. And as we move into the next year, we want to be learning from those experiences. I personally have had certain opportunities not work out, and it's really important to not be putting all your eggs in one basket, so to say. So I always recommend applying to a safety school that has generous financial aid, generous scholarship opportunities that you know you will get, such as University of Alabama. I would be happy to talk to you guys about that school. I love that school. And over planning will only help you, never harm you, but just make sure you're managing your mental health, managing self-care. This is a time to celebrate you. These are the rewards of all your hard work throughout high school. You don't want to be turning it into a detriment to your health. And this final thing is to kind of mitigate any feelings of imposter syndrome in the room or things that could adversely affect your mental health. Selection for these scholarships, for any scholarship, can feel at times random. And I really encourage you all to not stress the losses and not sweat the losses. Everyone in this panelist lineup is incredibly talented, incredibly accomplished and gifted, but we've all had scholarships that we've put our hearts and souls into applying for, and things just don't work out. There are too many qualified applicants for too few spots, and that's just the nature of the game nowadays. And so I would always recommend, taking time for yourself. You're allowed to be upset, but always get back up again. But at the same time, on the flip side, the wins are not random. You are meant to get your awards. You are meant to earn your accomplishments. There is nothing that is there's no one more deserving than you when you get something. It's really important to be celebrating yourself and to support yourself. And your worth is not and never will be defined by your money, your lack thereof, your financial background. There are always opportunities for students, no matter their backgrounds, at a lot of wonderful institutions and a lot of wonderful programs. And you're worth more than that. Next slide. All right, that was a lot of talking from me, and that was a lot of very technical information and might be a lot of information at once. Now we're going to get into the more fun stuff where we're going to be learning from our panelists. Again, I'm Eva McCord. I am a current senior at Grosse Pointe South High School in Grosse Pointe Park, Michigan. We're in the Metro Detroit area, if you're not familiar. And I am so excited to be an incoming pre-med student at the University of Chicago next year. And a little bit about my scholarship experience. I was recently honored to be named a Coca-Cola Scholar. And if you're unfamiliar with that program, it is run by the Coca-Cola Scholar Network. I'm repping them right now on my neck. And this program honors 150 high school seniors from, I think, an applicant pool of this year close to 100,000 kids. But I promise it's more streamlined than that. And they honor them with a $20,000 scholarship to put towards either college or graduate school. You can defer it for up to 10 years. So it's a very lenient network, and you're welcomed into a really awesome group of people. I'm also an Odyssey Scholar at the University of Chicago. This is an institutional scholarship that is need-based. So this is coming back to my previous statement about looking for schools that will provide you with generous aid. That's why Chicago is my top choice, and just happy it worked out. But yeah, and then we get into the journalism scholarships that are from a range of levels in terms of applying. So first is the Free Spirit Scholarship. This is a national scholarship for student journalists across the country. It's run by USA Today, and it's super awesome. It's a $1,000 scholarship. I would highly recommend any journalists in the room to come talk to me about it. I love that network. And I am also an alumnae scholarship recipient. That's through my state, and that's for just journalism and Michigan Interscholastic Press. And going into various stages, I also have background in some local scholarships with the Detroit News and Catch. I'm a Journalist of the Year scholarship candidate, and I was also a nominee for the Moorhead Kane Scholarship at UNC and the Cameron Impact Scholarship. And advice, I know you've been hearing a lot of advice from me today, but at the end of the day, as cliche as it sounds, rejection is redirection. And I know some people think that's kind of hippie or, it's kind of like flowery to say, but I really firmly believe it. And I think that your tenacity and your ability to get back up again will always serve you well in every stage of life. It's really important to take time for yourself and regroup, especially after, putting so much time into your essays, putting so much time into your grades, but always try again because you never know what can happen. And feel free to ask me about scholarship essays. There are a ton. Interview tips. I think my Coca-Cola Scholar interview was the scariest thing I've ever done. So I can definitely help anyone mitigate their interview fears, and casting a wide net when searching for scholarships, and just navigating financial aid in general. You have to become financially literate when you're FIGLI. So yep, that's me. Next slide.
Okay, hi, my name is Jada Lee, and I am currently a senior at West Bloomfield High School, still deciding where I'm going to go to college. But in terms of scholarship experience, I have received the Hale Scholarship at the University of Michigan, which is a scholarship that my counselor recommended me for at my school. So with that scholarship, I found out that I got it in October of this year, so before I even applied to the University of Michigan. And it pays full tuition and fees at U of M. And I also recently got the UMich Detroit Grads Go Blue Scholarship, which is a $5,500 scholarship for 4 years. And I got that through applying to scholarships that were specifically for LSA at the University of Michigan. And recently I was also awarded the Judith Diane Jackson Scholarship, which is a local scholarship where 5 students are awarded $1,000 for 4 years in the Metro Detroit area. So that is some of my scholarship awards that I've received so far. Other various stages, I'm a Gates Scholarship finalist, still waiting to hear back for the results from that. I'm also a Robert A. Leonard Charitable Trust Scholarship finalist, which is another local scholarship. And I was an Elks Most Valuable Student quarter finalist. So through all of applying to all of these scholarships, I think I probably applied to, I was looking at my spreadsheet today, I probably applied to over 20 scholarships, and whenever I say that, I was people are oh my goodness, that's a lot. And then I just think about my whole process and what it took me to apply and stuff, and it was a lot, but I was able to find ways to make it easier and manage my time to be able to apply to all these scholarships. And as Eva said at the beginning, casting a wide net, I applied to various amounts of scholarships. I didn't get some, I got some. So the more you apply to, the more chances that you have. And my advice, as I mentioned, spreadsheets are your best friend. I am honestly a very scatterbrained person. So if I don't keep myself organized, everything's gonna be everywhere. So I love my color-coded spreadsheet to keep me on time with my applications, and also just to look at it aesthetically pleasing when I get a scholarship highlighted green and don't get it highlighted red kind of thing. I like that. And also going back to what Eva said at the beginning, it's important to stay organized. to make sure you meet all of the requirements for your scholarships. There are a few scholarships at the beginning where I like started the application, then I was like, oh shoot, I don't fit this requirement, so I can't even apply to the scholarship. So it really taught me to make sure I read through all of the requirements before I like put it on my list. And some things you can ask me about are scholarship essays, choosing what to write, and recycling essays, because through my college admissions process, I had lots and lots of essay topics that were super similar to scholarship essays. So if I was crunched for time, or if like I see a prompt when I'm like researching the scholarship, I'm like, oh, I already have an essay about this. It'll incline me more towards applying to that scholarship. Creating a resume and like formatting, because some scholarships want specific formatting and stuff. Finding scholarships, like what I used to search and how I learned about a bunch of scholarships, and asking for recommendation letters, because most of the scholarships I've applied for want recommendation letters, and some of them are like super specific, like they have to be written in 2021, they have to be from a community member, not a teacher, they have to be from a teacher you had like in a specific year. Some of them can be super specific, and I can just help out with my experience of asking my teachers and mentors for letters. We can go to the next slide.
Hi everyone, my name is Carly. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm also a senior. I attend Washtenaw International High School, which is in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and I will be attending Yale in the fall as a Questbridge scholar, which leads me to the scholarships that I've received. And the first one is the Questbridge National College Match Scholarship. So for Questbridge, there's a different process that's it's kind of separate, but also aligns with the college admissions process. And it's its own separate application. And I would be happy to talk more about that more in depth if you guys have any questions about Questbridge. But basically, for me, for that Questbridge scholarship, I was accepted through to Yale through that scholarship. So it was binding for me. But it guarantees a full cost of attendance scholarship with there's some like fees that you have to cover that yourself that every student has to cover anyway, like textbooks and things like that. But other than that, everything was covered. And it's aimed for high achieving low income students. Definitely a big one if you are a low income student. Another one was the Horatio Alger State Scholar. And they are also a national organization. They have, I believe, 2 levels of scholarship. They have the national scholarship and the state scholarship. The national one is like $25,000 total for all 4 years, and then the state scholar is $10,000 for all 4 years. So yeah, I was named for the Michigan one along with a lot of other people. And then there was also the College Board Opportunity Scholarship. If you're a junior and you've started your SAT process, you've probably seen that like timeline of different things that you have to complete throughout your college application process, where every time you complete something, it'll put in it's kind of like a raffle thing, but they like put in your name and then it qualifies you for being picked for a scholarship, and that was one of them. And the opportunity scholarships, I believe there's like 5 stages, and it ranges from like $500 to $40,000 in that. And then finally, like Jada said earlier, I was also selected for the UMich Hale Scholarship, which I applied for, and then but since I had matched to Yale, I had withdrew my application to U of M before decisions came out. And then some other scholarships that I had applied to were the Coca-Cola Scholars Scholarship, like Emma mentioned, the Elks one that I believe Jada also mentioned, as well as the Gates Scholarship, and then the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship, which has also not come out yet, but will be soon. And yeah, all of those ones, if you are starting your college search, those ones are probably the biggest ones that you will find. And we just want to reiterate, those ones are very competitive, and the ones if you don't qualify for rounds, or if you don't get them at all, it's definitely not an indicator of how successful you are and what scholarships that you are able to receive. And like Eva said, rejection is redirection. And then for advice, apply as much as you're able to. So I think, like similar to Jade, I think I applied to also around 20-ish scholarships. But don't burn yourself out. It's really important to make sure that you know what's healthy for you, and your health is much more important than applying to every single scholarship that you can find, which also can affect like the quality of your applications. So not trying to spread yourself too thin. And then, like people have said before, reusing essays, staying organized, and starting your search early. And yeah, I've pretty much gone through most of the process for QuestBridge, including the College Prep Scholars Program for juniors. So if you guys have any questions specific to QuestBridge, I would love to answer those questions. Yeah, you can go to the next slide.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lexi Bourne. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a senior at Madeira High School, which is in Cincinnati, Ohio. As of last week, I was all set to go to UNC Chapel Hill as a Moorhead Kane Scholar, which I'll get to in a little bit. And so the Moorhead Kane Scholarship, I believe Eva was nominated for it as well. It's a 4-year fully funded tuition, fees, textbooks, room and board, everything covered at UNC Chapel Hill, and also 4 years of summer activities to go along with it, internships, study abroad, research, you name it, it pretty much covers it. So I count myself to be extremely lucky. I can't be more excited about it. I also received the Cincinnati Scholarship, which is another full ride to the University of Cincinnati, which is kind of my hometown. Cincy gang, yay. I also received the Ohio Elks Most Valuable Student Award, which is, I was a quarterfinalist for the national, and that put me in the running for the state. So that's how I got to that one. I won the Buckeye Girls State Endowment Fund through my involvement in Buckeye Girls State. So like Eva said, if you're involved in something, try to find a scholarship for it, because more than likely there is one and you will be super qualified for it. And then the Simon B. Walter Award, which is also another super local scholarship. I also applied to over 20 scholarships, and a fair amount of them were institutional. So the Jefferson Scholarship was another one that I went through. That's a full ride to the University of Virginia. So I was a semifinalist for that. Coca-Cola semifinalist, and then an Elks Most Valuable Student quarterfinalist. So the biggest piece of advice that I have for everybody, and it's advice that I got from my dad when I was super little, and I've always tried to follow this, is that if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So just ask, put yourself out there. It's going to seem super scary. And another statistic that I learned at a women in business conference always sticks with me, that men typically apply for something if they're only 20% qualified for it, and women will typically wait till we're about 80% qualified for something before we apply. So if you ask your brother or your guy friend or your dad if they would apply if they were you, and they say yes, go for it, apply for it. You never know what's going to happen. I definitely did not feel qualified for the Moorhead Kane. I didn't think in any way, shape, or form that was going to happen to me. But I took a leap of faith and I applied anyways, and I'm super glad that I did. And then my second piece of advice kind of comes with applying to all these scholarships, is most of these larger ones involve some sort of interview component. Most highly selective colleges will as well. I think I've done over like 20 interviews for colleges and scholarships and all those things. And I can't tell you how much practicing helped. Because you get on a Zoom or maybe in-person interview and you're super nervous and you just want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. So please practice for those. I want to throw parents under the bus here. If you're on this chat, my parents helped me so much with all of the interview practice. But I also had my school counselors do it. I had teachers help me. My piano teacher helped me at one point. So it really does make a difference in your composure and your confidence when you log on to that Zoom to know that you've got this interview and you're going to rock it. So those are my two biggest pieces of advice. But I would love to talk to you about scholarship essays. I also applied to 18 colleges and then over 20 scholarships. So I know a little bit of something about writing essays. So if you have any questions about that, interview tips always, organization, as Jada said, organization is absolutely key. Reusing, and then finally finding a good support network. I was so lucky to have my fellow Joyce Ivy scholars with me on this process, friends at school, my family. So really finding that support network, because it's a super exciting time and it's a super stressful time, and you're going to go through a roller coaster of emotions. So just finding that good support network is really important, and I'd love to talk to you about that. Fran, that's all for me.
If I could go back to my first semester senior self, I was so worried about deadlines, so worried about college, so worried about money. And now I wish I could just give her a hug. And you are all going to feel like that someday. You're all going to end up at wonderful institutions with wonderful opportunities ahead of you. And there's always a second path to take. When one door closes, the next one opens. So you're all going to be great. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, just to echo everything Eva said, definitely everything will be fine. One quote that I saw this morning on my Instagram feed that I was like, Lexi was like, you have to share this at the webinar. And I was like, yes. And it's, the future can still be beautiful, even if it looks different than you were expecting. And that's definitely like embodying my entire college and scholarship application process. Everything turned out way different than what I was expecting, and it was all for the best. So my best piece of advice is just to celebrate your hard work. Take that time to relax. You are amazing, and all your hard work is not for nothing. And yeah.
Yeah, just to echo what both of them have said, definitely be proud of what you have done, and don't ever underestimate yourself. You will all do amazing things, and be proud of your accomplishments. Continue to work hard. Don't give up, and yeah, you guys will be great.
Yeah, I think Carly hit it on the head when I really feel like the hardest part is mostly over for all of you, because you've done the work of keeping up your grades in high school and you've put in the time for your extracurriculars. And now it's time to tell all these wonderful people on the other side of the admissions desk all about you. And it's just you. Like, you don't really have to know anything. There's nothing to study. It's just you. So take some time this summer to really kind of reflect on everything you've learned in high school, and please enjoy your senior year. I've seen some of my friends absolutely destroy their senior year over college apps. And it's a time to have fun, to do your extracurriculars, to play your sports, to do that spring musical, to try out for something new because you feel like it. Have some fun with senior year, because life doesn't begin and end with your college applications. There's still a ton of years left, and you want to remember